Hello, the subject is marketing management and the topic is buying decision making process. The marketers and marketing needs to understand this one single thing in depth and detail. This displays what is the entirety of the result of all those study that is being made by consumers on consumers by marketing department. Buying decision making process gives cues for the way a consumer acts and decides his buying and consumption process. The customer buying process, also called as buying decision process, describes the journey a customer goes through before they buy the company's product. Understanding the customer's buying process is not only very important for the company's salespeople, it will also enable the company to align sales strategies accordingly. It is important to understand why these consumers and at what stage they do what and how. There are mainly five stages in the framework of buying decision making process. The five stages framework remains a good way to evaluate the customer's buying process. John Davy first introduced this concept of stages of buying decision making process in the year 1910, and he put forth these following stages to be in the buying decision making process. They are problem need recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, post purchase behavior. These five stages are displayed by consumers of all the type of goods and services across the market and the world. These five stages of decision making process in buying is displayed by whole lot of consumers all put together, and the marketers need to understand this buying decision making process to design and align their marketing strategies and campaign advertisements to reach this decision making process easily so that the consumers are in favor of their company and their products or service. Let us see one by one what does this stages really mean and what the consumer undergoes under each stage of this buying decision making process. The first stage in buying decision making process is problem need recognition. This, identified as the first and most important step in the consumer or customer's decision making process, he has to identify first what is his need. Nobody can come to him and tell that this is your need. An individual customer or consumer should identify for himself what his need, and it is left for him to identify on whatever base he wants to, and he should arrive at the precise need of his own and his being. He should know what really is his need and what would satisfy his need at this stage. A purchase cannot take place without the recognition of the need. He should be able to recognize, he should have so much of knowledge and awareness that he can analyze and be aware of what his need in this stage of buying decision making process. The need may have been triggered by internal stimuli such as hunger or thirst, or external stimuli such as advertising or word of mouth. The need recognition or the problem recognition comes in various forms. Sometimes he is recognized or he is getting recognized by the internal stimuli. When he feels thirsty, he goes to drink water, and when he feels hunger, he wants food. But this concept he should know that whether he is hunger or he is thirst, his hungry is a need that has been identified, and his thirst is a need which has been identified by himself. Nobody can come to him and tell that you are feeling hungry and you should feel thirsty, which is not going to be possible identification process for the individual customer or consumer. Or sometimes the need for a product or a need for a service arises by external stimuli to some extent. When an individual consumer sees certain advertisements or when he listens to people speaking about the benefit that they drew from using of a particular product or service of a particular company, this might induce him to external stimuli, and that would result in creation of need or want within himself, all because of this external stimuli which is prevailing in the outside society of his own being. Hence, the first stage of buying decision making process is problem or need recognition, which is in the hands of the consumer, and he should know what are his needs, and this need recognition has to be based on, most probably on the base of Maslow's need hierarchy theory, which can be used as a concept by the company to know what is the need of the consumer in that particular stage or need hierarchy of each individual being in this world of market and its business. The second stage in buying decision making process of an individual is information search. Once he gets to know what his problems are, and once he gets to know what his need is, once he is able to identify both, the next stage is information search. Having reorganized a problem or need, the next step a customer may take is the information search stage, in order to find out what they feel is the best solution. This is the buyer's effort to search internal and external business environments in order to identify and evaluate information sources related to central buying decision. Customer may rely on print, visual, online media, or word of mouth for obtaining information. The consumer, once he gets to know what his need and what is his problem, the next stage is he starts to search for products and services that would help him satiate these needs, that would solve his problems, that would help him benefit to come away from these problems or needs. Hence, he starts for information search. Where will he get the products or services to match or to satisfy his needs and problems? For this particular purpose, he starts searching in both internal and external ways as possible by him, and there he identifies various information as possible, and he uses various mediums to search this information It can be either on prints, advertisements, visual medias, online medias, or he can even tend to listen to other person's opinions on solving his problem or satiating his needs so that his needs are met, so that his problems are solved. And for that particular purpose, the second stage of buying decision making process is purely based on searching the information that is available, which could help him and solve all those problems and needs that he has recognized in the previous stage. The next stage, once the individual customer has recognized his problem or need, and then he has seen a lot of information through his searching attitude, the third stage of the buying decision making process of a consumer is evaluation of alternatives. In the information stage, he would have got to know that he has a lot of information and he has a lot of alternatives which could help him, which could help him in satiating the needs, which would help him solve the problems that he has recognized already in the process of buying, in the process of decision making. And this evaluation of alternatives says that he will now, as per the research, as per the information that he has got, he will weigh, he will give marks to each and every alternative that is available in the market, and he will give marks so that which is best and which is worst and which would help him to better satisfy his needs and best solve his problems in a better way. Individuals will evaluate different products or brands at this stage on the basis of alternative product attributes, those which have the ability to deliver the benefits the customer is seeking. A factor that heavily influences this stage is the consumer's or customer's attitude. Involvement is another factor that influences the evaluation process. For example, if the customer's attitude is positive and involvement is high, then they will evaluate a number of companies or brands. But if it is low, only one company or brand will be evaluated, giving the other companies no time or choice for them to sell their products to such kind of customers or consumers. This evaluation alternative is not only based on the positive attitude of consumer, but it is also based on the kind of knowledge that the consumer has, the kind of learnings that he has gone through, the kind of experience that he has all throughout his life, and more important, the kind of economic status and the amount of money he is ready to spend on will tell him how to evaluate. And all put together, evaluation process is a time consuming one, and hence consumers in this stage of decision making process should have ample time. Only such employees evaluate a large amount of companies. If not, he will decide and buy a single company whichever suits him at first stage itself. He will not keep on evaluating other alternatives available for him in the market. The next stage in the buying decision making process is purchase decision. Here, the first stage, he has recognized his problem or need. At the second stage, he went on in the search of information, and in the third stage, he has started evaluating alternatives, and he started giving ranks for his alternatives that were available to him on various bases of his choice and the market availability. The fourth stage comes purchase decision, which is very important and which can even be changed. The penultimate stage is where the purchase takes place. Philip Kotler states that the final purchase decision may be disrupted by two factors: negative feedback from other customers and the level of motivation to accept the feedback. We need to see an example for this. For example, having gone through the previous three stages, a customer chooses to buy a new telescope. However, because his very good friend, a keen astronomer, gives him negative feedback, he will then be bound to change his preference. Furthermore, the decision may be disrupted due to unforeseen situations such as sudden job loss or relocation. So it is very important to be very calm at the stage of purchase decision. The company has to know how the purchase decision is being made. Purchase decision being the core of the business and the consumer decision making process. Any kind of mistake at this stage will lead to the failure of business itself, because the company has to take care of all those feedbacks that is available of the product are positive, which cannot be controlled by the market forces, which cannot be controlled by the marketing department. It is entirely left to the individual consumers. Purchase decisions are purely based on his own thought process and his own circle of feedback that is available relating to a particular product. But it is this stage which declares and which makes the consumer or the individual become the consumer to that particular company or to that particular product. And here is what the ultimate fruit of the entire process come to the company. But this is affected in larger ways if he is bound to change his job, if he is bound to change his place, if he is bound to change his choice, if he is bound to change his decision, then this will affect the purchase decision to a larger extent, putting the business low. The next stage in buying decision making process is post purchase behavior. What the way the consumer will behave after he has bought and used the consumer. How the consumer displays his behavior after he has bought the product, after he has used the product, and at this stage he will match his expectations and his experiences. He will get to know whether his expectations are matching his experiences, and this will speak a lot for the future buyers and consumers, because he is the one who is going to give feedback about that particular product or service. Customers will compare product with their previous expectations and will either be satisfied or dissatisfied. Therefore, these stages are critical in relating and in retaining customers. This can greatly affect the decision process for similar purchases from the same company. In the future, having a knock-on effect at the information search stage and evaluation of alternative stage. If customer is satisfied, this will result in brand loyalty, wherein the customer will remain a customer for the company forever and a longer future time, and the information search and evaluation of alternative stage will often be fast-tracked or skipped altogether. If he becomes a loyal customer for your company, he will skip the other stages of searching for information and evaluating the alternatives. He will directly come to your company to buy the product and use it because he has already decided, and he is going to display only post purchase behavior of loyalty. Hence, these are the 5 stages of buying decision making process which are very important in the decision making process of each and every consumer, and each stage are important in its own way, and it is left to the company, and it is the company and the marketing department which has to target each decision making process and be available in each decision making process so that the consumer is not left alone in want of furthermore help. If the company can suit him and shoot him at this particular stages of decision making process, the company can for sure end up in business success on the basis of being either satisfied or dissatisfied. It is common for customers to distribute their positive or negative feedback about the product. This may be through reviews on website, social media networks, or word of mouth. Companies should be very careful to create positive post-purchase communication in order to engage customers and make the process as efficient as possible, and it has to be made effective as well. Hence, all these 5 stages are to be considered important by the marketing department, and the fifth stage is much more important, which will give a push up to the future consumers if these feedbacks are kept open to individuals that are seeking to find. Hence, we have studied all the 5 stages of buying decision making process in marketing. Thanks for listening.